I read The Millionaire Next Door 10 years ago, and it absolutely changed my life. What's up, my Milk Money Millionaires? I'm Joshua. Welcome to my channel where we learn how to make our money, make more money. A reminder, I'm not a financial advisor, so invest at your own risk. But for today, I wanted to talk about one of my favorite books and how it changed my life and set me on my very own millionaire path. If you'd like to make sure you see more videos like this, please like and subscribe to the channel, and maybe we can both get more rich together. But anyway, here's a little bit about The Millionaire Next Door and how it totally changed my life. So as I sat down at a Starbucks to get some work done, back in the good old days when you were allowed to do that sort of thing, I happened to sit by a very average, unassuming gentleman. He was in sweatpants and a windbreaker that looked like it was from the 90s, and sported a pair of basic white tennis shoes covered in dirt and down to the very last few steps. No fancy haircut or Rolex watch here. Not quite homeless looking, but very much the appearance of an average Joe. Now, I'm not one to be judgy, and I wasn't looking down on him in any way whatsoever. I wouldn't have thought anything of it if it wasn't for what came next. I just wanted to point out the first impression most people would have gotten from someone like this, as it is very relevant to this story and the book. So anyway, I sat down to this very normal guy next to me with my brand new laptop while he had his dinosaur-looking notebook and began to work. As I often do with my ADD mind when I'm trying to work, I look around the whole store with my mind racing, and I happened to accidentally glance at my neighbor's screen. I wasn't intentionally snooping, I promise, but I couldn't help but notice the all-familiar Fidelity investment screen. The same screen I'm used to seeing on my computer, and I believe I was actually looking at my stocks at the same time. But one big difference, the balance shown in big bold numbers on the top left of the page popped out like a shiny new quarter on asphalt. $4.3 million. Much higher than the number I'm used to seeing in my account. I was actually very delighted by the surprise to be sitting next to a multi-millionaire, and was wishing I had the courage to strike up a conversation and maybe get some tips. But I didn't want to admit to accidentally snooping on his private affairs, so I left it alone and settled for the fun little anecdotal story that provided some confirmation bias to what I thought real millionaires actually look like. Maybe I would have been more shocked by the experience if I hadn't already read The Millionaire Next Door. The authors of the book decided to interview millionaires to find out what made them tick and compile all the statistics on what made millionaires millionaires. And they thought they would be touring the country, exploring the lifestyles of the rich and famous, and interviewing tons of people with yachts and Jaguars. What they found was surprising. Most millionaires do not look like millionaires. And I mean that most millionaires don't look like millionaires at all. They live in normal neighborhoods and look like the average Joe in my Starbucks. In fact, the authors found most people that look like millionaires aren't, and end up with more financial stress than your average Joe, as they maximize the people that look rich, maximize their lifestyle, and underaccumulate wealth. In doing the research, they found the majority of millionaires actually live in average neighborhoods with average cars, and their neighbors have no idea that they're millionaires. And the reason is they are overaccumulators of wealth. So while we expect to see Trump-level opulence and MTV Cribs excess from our rich people, we actually see blue-collar humility from real millionaires. The reason is simple. Building wealth requires you to save and invest. If you live a humble lifestyle, you don't need to be a computer scientist or a Silicon Valley startup to get wealthy. You could be a teacher, or my favorite example from this book, a janitor who ended up a millionaire. The secret is the ever so simple but boring and difficult rule of living underneath your means. The greater the means that you have, the easier that it is to do in theory, but he found many high-income earners failed at building wealth because of their expectations of looking successful like their peers. It makes it much more tempting to maximize your lifestyle. If you're a doctor making $200,000 a year, but you spend $195,000 a year on your dream house, fast car, big Rolex, and yearly vacation to Fiji, you end up with only $5,000 a year in your investments. You are an under-accumulator of wealth and have a hard time ever reaching financial independence. The authors of The Millionaire Next Door found this was actually very common with what they called income affluent people, especially in high-status jobs. The key was, in the high-status jobs, many of them under-accumulated wealth, mostly due to their feeling they need to look as successful as their job. In some ways, having a blue-collar background, living in a blue-collar lifestyle actually gives you some advantages in that you are in a culture of being frugal, and the pressure to spend isn't nearly as strong when you live in average neighborhoods with normal people. They found most millionaires were actually in this camp of humble appearances, and they came up with the term prodigious accumulators of wealth. These were people that saved over 10% of their income and built up a large net worth relative to their pay. So what are the key habits or mindset differences between over and under accumulators of wealth? First off, the main real difference is the obvious spending less than you earn and investing at least 10% or more. It will seem hard to do no matter what pay scale you're in, but if you do it, you will be rewarded. So what stops people? The first major mistake under accumulators make are status objects. It is the psychology of having your ego tied up in your possessions, needing to look and feel successful through what you own. You worked hard, you got a big degree, you have lots of friends that are doctors and lawyers, and you feel like you deserve to look the part. Buying status objects such as luxury handbags and Mercedes SUVs take a huge hit to your bottom line. But most importantly, you feed into this psychological trap of always needing more, as that feeling wears off. Whereas if you buy a humble car and invest that $500 Mercedes car payment instead, you will become wealthy while looking average. Another trap under accumulators fall into is spending tomorrow's cash today. They often maximizing their debt, claim they will start investing later when they make more money. They expect the money to always keep coming with their high incomes, but their lifestyle always expands, so they can never get that wiggle room to save. While overaccumulators save tomorrow's wealth today. They keep their lifestyle relatively the same or just slowly expand it every time their income increases. They get a $500 raise, they invest maybe $400 and maybe spend $100 more. Whereas an underaccumulators trap themselves into spending that $500 raise as soon as they get it. So when I say this book changed my life, it's true. It really did change the path I was on. And that's because of the two key takeaways for me. And those are that wealth is as much about psychology as it is about money. And that anyone, the most importantly, anyone truly can become a millionaire. I came from a blue-collar background where I didn't know anyone wealthy, and I became a teacher. I really thought that being a millionaire was not in the cards for me. I mean, how many teachers become millionaires, right? Honestly, I think the number one reason people don't end up wealthy is they don't think they can. If you don't think you can become wealthy, you will never try. Reading this book and all the anecdotes of normal people becoming millionaires really opened my eyes to the idea that no, I indeed could become a millionaire. And that was the first step. And the day after reading this book, I decided to start making it happen. And I'm happy to say I'm well on my way. If you'd like to get wealthy too, but doubt you can, then please read this book. The second takeaway was that you need to master your ego and psychology and understand why you underaccumulate instead of overaccumulate. If you can remove yourself the need to buy and collect status items and instead change your identity to buy and collect investments and be happy not looking as rich as your peers, then you will indeed actually be richer than your peers. I would definitely highly recommend reading this book to help change your mindset and help you hopefully become an overaccumulator of wealth. And maybe this book can change your life like it did mine. Have you read it? Are there other takeaways you'd like to add? Then let me know in the comments below. If you'd like to make sure you see future content about building wealth, please subscribe to my channel. And you can also check out my video on the 5 habits of millionaires on my channel as well. And if you'd like some more practical tips on how to become a millionaire, you can check out my video on the 5 habits of millionaires on my channel as well. Anyway, I'm Joshua. Thanks so much for watching my channel, where we believe you don't have to be rich to get rich. You just have to make your money make more money. See you in the next video. Peace.